Welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and this is the North American version of the Shimmery Hearts Scarf by redheart.com. I'll provide a free information link in the more information of this video. Just kind of click that, you'll get the pattern, etc, etc, etc. In today's pattern we are using the North American crochet language. You can just follow along, and for our challenge that we're doing for the crochet along, you must follow this 100% in order to make it work for you. I'm going to show you the ins and outs of doing filet crochet, and at the end of this particular challenge you will understand filet crochet. And then what I'm even challenging you to do really is that once you get this done and you understand filet crochet, you can change the scarf. If you look at the boxes that are provided in the diagram key that we're going to be following in this video, what if you took out the heart shapes and substituted it for shapes of names or of letters, so that you can actually have a scarf with a name. So this is a project, not only is it fun to do, it's relevant because Valentine's is coming up, but it's also something that you can use to further your skills down the road. So without further ado, let's get started on the video tutorial right now. So let's begin to filet crochet. We are going to be putting in our heart shapes and our other shapes into the scarf as we go. Very quick and easy. You'll find this project go really quickly. So what we have today is the red heart shimmer. You only need one ball of that. If you are substituting your yarn, or the hook, just remember that when you do so it does change the yarn quantity. Now the pattern is asking for a size F or 3.75 millimeter crochet hook today. I can't seem to find it. It's probably buried in my couch somewhere. But I'm using a G size 4.0 millimeter. So let's begin today, and I'm going to show you the ins and outs of doing filet crochet. So when reviewing the pattern, and I'll provide that in the more information of this link, you will notice that it starts off with the instructions and then it says. So I always say that because it's really quite easy once you get the concept of it, because once you can establish the pattern, you simply don't have to be reading these instructions anymore, and you can simply just go to the chart key that is on the other page. Now what I did is that I started off to highlight, and I realized that I'm blasting through this scarf so fast that you can see the hearts and the shapes going into the scarf as you see it going on. So, and in actual fact I didn't highlight as I went because it was so obvious where I was in the scarf that you could just quickly look down, okay, I have to jump so many spaces, and voila, you're good to go. To make it easier, I'm going to put this key diagram on the side of this video, and what you're going to be doing is that I'm going to show you how to get started, and then I'm going to leave the rest to you, and then we're going to come back and I'll review how to do the border. Once you understand this concept, it is really so simple and you can use this concept. Here's a tip for you. If you wanted to do a name inside your scarf, if you just take out the shapes that you see for the heart and replace it with letters, then simply you can create a name going down this whole thing if you have the right amount of boxes left. So let's begin, and let's grab your yarn and your hook and let's get started. So let's grab a yarn and create an extra long tail, and we're going to be using that to sew it in afterwards. So if you know how to do that, it's really a lot more easier than trying to bury in a smaller tail that likes to fall out all the time. Creating a slip knot, we're going to slip it onto our hook, and as per the instructions it says with the larger hook, so if it's a size F it'd be 3.75 millimeter because there's two hooks being used in this pattern, and the smaller hook is being used for the border. So in this case I'm using my 4 or my size G because I'm substituting. So what we have, it says chain a 24 loosely. So remember that this never counts as one. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and I want you to go all the way to 24 on your own. We'll meet back up at the end of the line in just a moment, and I'll show you what to do next. As per the instructions, now row 1 says work in the back loops of the chain stitch and DC in the 4th chain from the hook. So what it's asking you to do is actually asking you to turn the chain upside down. So this is how you do it. So you count back to the 4th. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 and 4th, and then what you want to do is that you will notice that you can see 2 strings on the top. Let me take that out. 2 strings right here, and then you'll see a string on the back. It's asking you to go into the back. So just turn that over and wrap the yarn, because we're going to double crochet, and go in the back. Once you do the first back one, the rest of the chain just automatically turns over on itself. So then the rest of them become very easy, like so. So see how it just turned it over? And what this will do now is that it will create a beautiful finish on the other side, and that's what you're looking for. So we're just going to double crochet in the back loop, so it's like a bump, like it's on the back of the chain. We just go into one string that's pointing, that is like bumping upward, and we're going to double crochet ourselves all the way across this line, And so if you look at the key diagram as well, you'll notice that all of the boxes are filled in with a dot. That means that it's a solid. So this is the very first line going across. So double crochet yourself all the way across, and we will come back in just a moment and we'll start actually the fillet process next. We've just finished row number 1 and now it's time to move up from row number 2. It doesn't matter which language that you're using when it comes to using these diagrams, as long as you understand what is happening inside. So this one here is the printout from the American version. It says double crochet when it's a solid with has a period inside. Then what happens is it says double crochet into the next 2 double crochet, or 2 double crochets into the next chain 2 space, and then double crochet into the next. So essentially what's meaning is that each one of these dots represents 2 double crochet that's filling in that space. So the ones that don't have anything inside, those would essentially be nothing inside. So there'd be no double crochets inside. For our UK friends, double crochet equals treble. So when you're going along in this, instead of it would be treble into the next 2 trebles, or 2 trebles into the next chain 2 space, and then treble into the next treble. So that's essentially, it's the same thing, and that's the beauty about these patterns, is that they are transposable when it comes to language, because it's just a symbol. So if you understand what it's asking you to do, it becomes very simple. So let's move along to row number 2 and let's get started on actually doing the fillet part of this project. Moving up to row number 2, it becomes really simple. So if we know that a solid inside is 2 double crochets, we know then the double crochets on either side of the 2 are like the framework that create the shape. So let's begin, and we are going to chain 3 because we are doing double crochet. So chain 3, so that's your very first one. And so you look at the box and it shows that it has a period inside. So that means that the next 2 are going to be 2 double crochets to make it solid. So we just immediately just double crochet once into the next 2. So that is the inside of the box, but we have to finish this by putting in another double crochet. So that's what all those instructions mean. So the framework is the first double crochet and the last one, and the 2 inside is just the filler. So you now see 2 empty boxes. So what that means is that it's going to be chain 2, and it's going to be skipping over the 2 chains, or the 2 stitches down here, and we're going to go into the 3rd. So we're going to double crochet into the 3rd one, and that creates your first open shape. So what we have is another open box. So we're going to chain 2, again skip 2, 1 and 2, and go into the 3rd, and there is another open box. So the next box is solid. It has a period inside, so that means that the next 2 double crochets are the interior of that box. So fill those in. It's like coloring with yarn, really. And then we have to do the other side, so this is the framework. So the 2 is just the inside, so the outer 2 are the framework. And so the next 2 boxes are empty. So we chain 2, we skip over 2, and then we double crochet into the 3rd. And the next box is empty, so we chain 2, we skip over 2, and the last box is solid, so therefore the next 2 double crochets are solid. So they're just in, and that should leave us 1 stitch left, which is true because the outer chain, remember that's a stitch 2, that's where a lot of new crocheters go wrong, is that we fill it in. So now you end up with the shape that looks exactly like the key code. So let's move along to row number 3 next. So let's move along to round number 3. We're going to turn our work, and this is really easy. So now that you have the boxes empty, it's really easy to follow the pattern a lot more better than just looking at the graph and trying to count boxes. You're looking at the shape and you're just following along with what it's showing in the diagram. So to begin this one, this is row number 3. We're going to chain up 3, and the first box is full, so it has a period in it, so we're going to fill it in with 2 double crochets in a row. And remember, the next one is the framework, and the framework is totally going to make sense right now. So all the next boxes up until the very end are all empty. So we're going to be chaining 2, 1 and 2, and we just simply come into the stitch that's joining with the framework. So now you're starting to see it work together. So 1 and 2, and we come into the next one. So the one underneath now is now solid, and remember the framework, the two interior of that is the framework on the inside the box. So you just chain 2 and we just go to the outside one. It's just an easy way to do it if you want to look at it from that perspective. 1 and 2, we come into the next one just like so, because we just want to match it. 1 and 2, come to the next one like so, and then 1 and 2. So now we're on the outside box. This is solid, so the next 2 are the interior of this particular box, and then of course we have to frame it by putting in the last one within the chain. So that would complete off round number 3. And so now you can see the heart is just starting to open up. You have the points here and here, and then the middle is sinking down. So let's begin row number 4 next. Let's begin row number 4. We're going to turn our work, and we're just looking at the boxes, and you'll notice that the boxes now start shifting over one before, so there's more solid now in between the ends than there is in the middle. So let's begin. We are going to chain up 3, and we are going to double crochet ourselves because we see that the box is solid. So we're just going to double crochet as normal, and just visualize this as a graph. So that was one box complete. So as per the pattern, it shows that there's 2 boxes that are complete and full. So this is the second box here. So instead of going into the chain, you just go right into the gap space and double crochet 2 times. And that's the equivalent of doing your chaining 2 like you've been skipping, and then you come in and finalize that box off by matching it, just like you see. So now as per the instructions, the next 3 boxes are empty. So 1 and 2, and we double crochet into the next joining spot. 1 and 2 into the next joining spot. This is what makes this project really fast, because you don't have to double crochet so much. You're just chaining and just creating the shapes. So once you have your 3 boxes in, then the final 2 boxes are solid. So like you did on the other side, you're going to double crochet right into the gap space underneath. And you're going to do that 2 times to fill it in, and then you're going to go to the next one. That's the outside box. That's part of your graphing area, and then the next 2 are the interior of the final box. And of course the very last stitch is your chain. You come into the chain to finalize, and that's row number 4. So you can see now that the heart is starting to come up toward the point. We're now moving up to row number 4. We're just going to turn our work around and simply just chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. You will notice in the instructions that most of the boxes now are solid except for the middle point. So when you're looking at this, you can clearly see which one is the middle. So that's the one you're going to leave out. So when you're crossing and going across this, it's just so much easier if you're just looking for what's common. So the first box is solid. We're just going to follow across. So this is where you can trust your work, because you've been following along really carefully, that you can just continue to double crochet yourself across until you get to the point of the boxes. So as per the instructions, this box above it is full, so we're going to put in 2 double crochets there, and so it's the center one that's empty. So we have to make sure we get our crossing points in first, like you see. So you can see how those are wrapping around there, and chain 2 because we're leaving that empty, and we're coming into the next crossing point, like you see. And now everything else is solid. So we're going to have 2 double crochets wrapping around this box, and then into the crossing point, and then basically everything remaining on this line is solid. So you can either count it out as you go just to make sense of it, or you can just trust yourself that you will not add or subtract any stitches along your path as you're coming all the way across. And make sure you get into that outside chain. So that would conclude off row number 4. So the heart is almost done at this point. We just have another solid line, and then I'm going to set you off, because now that you can understand how to follow this graph along, it gets much easier from this point. We're now going to turn our work just like so, and if you look at the pattern, this whole line in row number 6 is absolutely full. So we don't really have to pay attention about counting stitches too much. We simply just chain up 3 and just move our way across this entire line as you go. So when we get to the middle section that is already empty, with just like you've done before, you just fill it in with 2 double crochets and just carry on as if nothing is going on. So in the next rows, what we have is that essentially just the way that you started is that this solid row is basically how you were here. So you just have to look at the boxes and start reconstructing the boxes, the empty spaces once again as you're moving up through this scarf. Very easy. It's really quite easy. It's, you know, you think you got a lot of reading but you don't. And essentially it becomes a really fun and fabulous project that way. So we're just double crocheting ourselves all the way across. Now as per the instructions, when you get all the way to the top of that diagram, if you really look how we're doing this, you'll notice that the hearts are upside down as per the pattern. So if you notice on the model, she has the hearts so that when she's wearing them that they're upside right. That they're not upside down. And what this means is that when you get to the top of that diagram key, you're gonna come back to this spot right here and begin to work on it again, just going in the opposite direction. So you're gonna turn it around at this point. So if I was to finish off, I would join it again and then essentially start from the bottom again and work your way up all once again. When we're looking at the pattern, it's very simple to follow, is that we're going from rows 1 all the way to 53. This goes extremely fast. And this is only 1/2 of the scarf. If you noticed in the model, you'll notice that her heart is facing upside right. So the hearts are looking upside down at this point. That's because the back of the neck is right here. So once you get all the way to the top, what you're going to do is fasten off, refasten on down here, and then start this again. And what this does is that it puts the hearts on the other side so that they're facing up, just like so. So when it's wrapped around your neck, both hearts will appear, because this is the back of your neck, both hearts will appear upside right. So it's very easy once you understand that concept. So to carry on, we are going to do the second half of this, and this is a better description on how you would do it. So essentially we would have came off, we would have fastened off, and the hearts will be upside down. So what I need you to do is that I need you to go back to the very start of the scarf and come back it so that the hearts are now facing upward, like so. So you can see the heart, like so. So now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna grab our yarn and we're gonna come into the top of the start chain to fasten on, just like you see. So let's fasten on our yarn, so, and we can just leave in the straggler so that we can bury that in, and then we're going to begin. So we're going to do chain 3. So in this row here, what we're doing is that we are going to fill it in. So every double crochet is going to get a double crochet. Keep that straggler down on top so you can bury it in. And so essentially the project is just restarting from 1 all the way to 53, and again it will create it so that the hearts will face upside right when it comes to wearing this particular scarf. So continue to do that, and we're gonna meet back up, follow the whole thing back again from 1 to 53, and when we come back I'm gonna show you how to do the edging, because that's actually really simple. We're now starting the border, and you will have come to the end of row number 53. For the second side, the heart will be upside down. I simply just want you to turn your work sideways like this. So normally you would turn it to go back across this line, but in actual fact you're going to start coming down. I did fasten off, so I've just fastened on some new yarn. You will not have that. You don't want to fasten off. To begin, we are just going to chain 1, and then we are going to go into the side post on the first one, and each post all the way down to the other side of the scarf. We're going to single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet, like so. Very easy. So in the next gapping space here, this is the next post, we're going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, like so. So just essentially work yourself all the way down to the bottom of this scarf on the other side. So we're just going to work ourselves all the way down the posts and single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and when we come back we're going to go along the bottom edge because that's slightly different as well, and this will give you a nice edging effect as well. So let's be right back. So let's go along the bottom edge. We've just come along the side here, and we are now going to go through the bottom, and you cannot see this on the model, but the bottom is not a flat edge. It's actually got more of a point to it. So let's begin reading the instructions and crochet slowly across. And what we're going to be doing is that it says working across the short end, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the next. So this is just into our first one right here. We are going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, like so. So now it says to skip the next double crochet and then single crochet, chain 3, single crochet into the next. So we're gonna skip the next one, and this time it's gonna be 3. So single crochet, chain 3, and single crochet. Make sure you actually do get the stitches. Don't get a gapping space because it'll be very obvious. And so let's move along to the next one. And so that was 3. So it says skip the next double crochet, single crochet, chain 4, and single crochet into the next. So we're going to skip the next one, go to that one, single crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and coming in to the same, like so. So you can see the point is starting to turn up. And so now it says to skip the next double crochet and go into the next and then this one is a chaining of 5. So we're skip 1, single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, going in for a single crochet. So now it says to skip the next double crochet and single crochet into the next double crochet. Okay, so we're gonna skip the next, single crochet into the next, like so, and then it says to half double crochet, picot into the next double crochet, and then double crochet, half double crochet into the next. So here's what we're gonna have. So the next double crochet, what we're gonna do is half double in, we are going to double crochet, and this one will have a picot. So to do a picot, 1, 2, and 3, coming into the same stitch, pulling it through and through. And so then the next one here on the other side is that we're going to double crochet into the next stitch and half double crochet, like so, and then the next stitch will then be a single crochet. So that was the very middle point of our project. So now essentially we have to then repeat exactly what we've just done over here. So we're going to skip the next double crochet and go into the next one, or first single, and chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, going in. So we skip the next one, single into the next, and chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, going into the same one for a single. We skip the next one, go into the second over, single crochet, do it for 3, 1, 2, and 3, in, skip the next one, and this is your very outside one, and this is single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So now you're just going to immediately start going around the corner, and to remember, around the corner is just into the side post for single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in, and you will do that all the way along. Everything that you just learned here will repeat on the other side, so you just want to reverse the video back to this point in order to get the other side done if you need the extra help. So here you have it, the final product of today's Shimmery Hearts Scarf. On behalf of redheart.com, redheart.co.uk, as well as thecrochetcrowd.com, I'm your host Mikey. Thank you so much for joining me on the Crochet Along. Now it's up to you. Once you finish one of these, post a finished photo to Facebook for the redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd, and if you're interested in the giveaway, be sure to check out the contest details in order to submit us a photograph before the 28th of January of 2014. Until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of Red Heart as well as the Crochet Crowd. We'll see ya.